Yo, what is up, my fellow virgins? Your boy A1 like say sauce can never take a motherfucking loss. Today, we about to react to what's his name? MMA Live. I think I said that shit right. I don't know. But today we're about to react to his video, his shit called Sean O'Malley Mentally Broke at UFC 306. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, bro. A lot of people would say O'Malley got exposed and all this. Me personally, he definitely got exposed, but more so he got outclassed by Marab and he wasn't ready for him yet. You know what I'm saying? But shit happens, bro.
But you didn't seem to see that fire from Sean maybe throughout that you might have expected.
I don't disagree with you. He looked flat. He didn't look sharp. He didn't look crisp.
Alright, so Dana's supposed biggest star in the UFC in Sean O'Malley got bullied by Merab Dvalishvili in their UFC bantamweight title fight, and after weeks of trash-talking, feuding, and beefing, Sean seemingly forgot how to fight, and as a result, he lost his title. And of course, Merab is a really dangerous opponent. I mean, he's literally the champion now, but this guy Sean really seemed to crumble under the pressure of Merab's wrestling, as well as the pressure of the situation as a whole. And aside from O'Malley's star power falling in a major way, the fight itself was pretty strange, so let's go through it really quickly round by round, and I'll give you my scorecard for the fight. Okay. Round 1 I definitely scored for Merab. The beginning of this round was really weird though, because both Merab and Sean's coach Tim Welch both got told off by Herb Dean for yapping at each other, which I didn't realize was illegal in the UFC. But this is
W referee shit, you feel me?
Just the first example of Herb over-reffing in this fight, and we'll get into that later. Regardless, I think this was a pretty clear round for Merab, seeing as he was able to control Sean on the ground for the last 2 minutes and landed some good shots in the clinch and on the ground. Round 2 was clearly another win for Merab. Sean got taken down pretty quickly and stayed on bottom for the rest of the round. Sean also got in trouble with Herb Dean for grabbing Merab's glove, but at the end of the round, something really weird happened when Merab started kissing Sean's back, let Sean go, and then got punched in the head by Sean while his back was turned.
Cause he kissed him to make him sure, like to make him know, like this is my fight, like I'm dominant. And he probably thought the referee didn't pull him off. He just said stop that, and Merab automatically thought like, oh, the time is up. If you ain't hear that, you feel me? But I low key wanted to see Sean to kind of like knock him out. That would have been like the craziest knockout, but. It is what it is.
Started kissing Sean's back, let Sean go, and then got punched in the head by Sean while his back was turned. Again, this was a really weird fight. And in between rounds, I definitely got the vibe that Sean was feeling a bit discouraged when he was in his corner with Tim. Alright, so I actually thought that round 3 was a pretty close round. I've seen a lot of people wonder how Sean was given 2 rounds on 2 judges' scorecards, and even though I think I scored this round for Merab, I can see how someone could give this one to O'Malley. I do think that Merab landed some good knees to the head in the clinch, which probably earned him the round at least on my scorecard, but Sean did land some good shots on the feet towards the end of the round, which is probably how he stole this round for 2 of the judges. Personally, on my scorecard, I had it 3-0 going into the 4th, but if you had it 2-1, I really don't think that's all that crazy, but I do disagree. 4th round was another clear round for Merab. He was able to take down Sean with 3:45 left on the clock, and he kept him down there until the end of the round. Merab also pummeled Sean with ground and pound and outlanded him by a pretty huge margin according to the live stats, and in between rounds, you can really see how exhausted Sean was. The guy had both elbows over his knees and his head was down towards the floor. If you're asking me, this is the body language of the mentally undefeated being mentally defeated. Round 5 of this fight is one of the weirdest rounds I've seen in a while. After Merab probably having the edge for most of it, O'Malley hurt him with a teep to the body where Merab visibly showed that he was hurt, and Sean didn't press the action or really do anything at all to follow up on the strike. I seriously can't believe that Sean didn't try to go for the finish when he saw Merab clutching at his stomach. This really shows to me that Sean was mentally crushed and he either didn't have the energy or the willpower to try and go for the finish. Also, throughout this entire round, you can hear Herb Dean constantly telling Merab to work, which seems kind of weird to me because I wouldn't say that.
No, meaning like work, like make the fight exciting. You can't just fucking stand there and just, no, nigga, work!
Merab was avoiding the action all that much. I mean, he was seriously telling Merab to work 30 seconds into the round, but it's not like Sean was doing anything either. Also, Merab was clearly up on the scorecards anyway, so it's more so on O'Malley to make some magic happen, but Sean was just so timid. This was a really bizarre round for a lot of different reasons, but I'd probably give this one to Sean just because he visibly hurt Merab. Anyways, I personally scored this fight 4-1 for Merab, but 2 of the judges had it 3-2, which I don't really agree with all that much, but I don't think that those scores scorecards are criminal or anything. And with all this being said, I think what really stands out to me from this fight is how quickly Sean began to withdraw in himself starting in the second round. Like, every time we saw this guy in between rounds after round 2, he just looked more and more discouraged, and he seriously looked like he didn't even want to be in there anymore between rounds 4 and 5. And of course, Merab fought a fantastic fight. His game plan was perfect and his execution was great, but I kind of feel like O'Malley also just silently gave up and fought to not get finished, as opposed to actually fighting to win the fight. And I think it's hard to deny that Sean's star power in the sport has taken a pretty massive hit after last night's performance, because even if he lost but still fought his heart out, I'm sure a lot of us would be willing to give him his credit, but the guy fought so tentatively and seemed so scared to engage to the point where he got legitimately rolled over. And I know it's probably easy to say that Merab's wrestling was too much for him, which is obviously true, but a part of me also wonders if the pressure of headlining UFC 306 at the Sphere was too much for him, and it led to him having his worst performance that we've ever seen in his UFC career. As Dana White himself said, Sean looked flat, and he looked flat from the very first round before Merab even attempted a takedown, so I'm wondering if he just wasn't ready to be headlining an event of this magnitude. Like, until the last 45 seconds of the entire main event, it seriously looked like Sean forgot how to fight. Where were the feints, the jabs, the footwork, and just the general desire to win? Now, I'm not going to...
Sean is just not that guy, bro. He never, I won't say he never was, but he just doesn't have aura. Like, you feel me? He can't tap in like that.
sit here and say that
That's why I keep trying to tell y'all, McGregor should have main evented that joint.
Sean got fraud checked or anything, because I really don't think that that's the case. He did beat Aljo and Cheeto fair and square in his most recent fights, and in my book, those are legitimate wins. But I will say that I do think that Sean got exposed, not just in terms of his wrestling, but I think that his mental strength might have been exposed as well. I mean, I do think that it's ironic that the same guy who loves to brag about himself being, quote, mentally undefeated after his first fight against Cheeto looked so visibly rattled after the second round. I mean, seriously, the most interesting and dramatic parts of this fight wasn't even the fight itself. Merab was so clearly ahead in this fight that the best parts of the match ended up being Merab and Tim Welch getting warned by Herb Dean not to argue with each other during the rounds, and listening to the commentators shit on Herb Dean for urging Merab to engage even when he was winning and working. After last night's performance, I just don't think that Sean has that dog in him to truly be considered one of the greats at bantamweight or just in the UFC as a whole. And it's a damn shame, because if he didn't fight so scared and wasn't so intimidated by Merab's wrestling, I do think that he could have shown a better side of himself, but he was just the mentally inferior fighter in there last night. And it definitely doesn't help Sean's case that I really don't think that he reacted to this loss
It wasn't like actually last night. I'm just letting y'all know that.
in a very promising way. First of all, Sean didn't do a post-fight interview in the cage, which I was personally disappointed by. I would have loved to have heard Sean's take on the fight immediately after it happened, but I kinda just figured that he'd be at the post-fight press conference to talk about the loss in front of the media, but nope. Sean skipped out on the post-fight presser as well, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm really disappointed in Sean for doing this. I understand that he was probably really upset with himself for this performance, but I think it would have been a really good move for him to face the cameras and the journalists just to say that the fight didn't go his way and he'll be back or whatever. Sean loves to compare himself to Conor McGregor so much, so let's compare him to Conor McGregor really quickly.
Please don't. You're gonna call this nigga on his bullshit, but fuck it.
When Conor unexpectedly lost to Nate Diaz at UFC
was there.
196, Conor had the balls to be present at the post-fight press conference. And when he got knocked out by Dustin Poirier
He
at
was
UFC
there.
257, he still had it in himself to face the media. I mean, it doesn't even have to be Conor. When Dominic Cruz got styled on by Cody Garbrandt at UFC 207,
He
he
was
very
there.
famously stood up in front of the media, addressed where things went wrong in the fight, and fans have appreciated Cruz for taking this loss like a man. Whereas with Sean, him skipping out on doing the post-fight interview and post-fight press conference reminds me a lot more of Ronda Rousey after she lost to both Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes, which is really not who you want to be compared to after you lose your title. For what it's worth, Sean did tweet this after the fight, which I guess is something, but I'd hardly say that tweeting 8 words shows to the world that you weren't mentally broken in the cage. Look, at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say that Sean has a lot of work to do, both in terms of his wrestling skills and his overall will to win. Because I don't think that Sean can keep making these claims that he's the biggest star in the UFC, he's a huge pay-per-view draw, or that he deserves to be headlining the biggest cards in the world if he keeps getting visibly broken when fights don't go his way. And seeing as he's he's probably going to have to fight Merab, Umar Nurmagomedov, or both in order to get back to the title. He's going to have to learn how to fight through adversity, or this is just going to keep happening to him whenever he faces a guy who can take him down. Obviously, there's no shame in losing to someone who's as relentless as Merab, but there are good losses and there are bad losses, and I definitely say that this was more of a bad loss than a good one. Yeah, I don't know. I do consider Sean to be a really good fighter who's possibly one of the better strikers in the UFC, but watching him fold under the bright lights into Merab's offense has left me questioning if he was ever really cut out to be UFC champion. Anyway,
He wasn't. He got rushed.
that's the video for today. Definitely let me know what you
He lost to Peter Yan, buddy.
think about Sean O'Malley's performance last night. Do you also think that he meant
Sean O'Malley, he just wasn't ready, bro. That's it.